बोले श्री गजानन स्वामी की जय। बोले श्री सत्यनारायण स्वामी की जय। बोले श्री सीतारामचंद्र की jai. Devotees, let me say special welcome to each and every one of you who found the time to be here this evening to continue with our devotions. To members of the bereaved family, we say blessings to you, and we pray that our divine force continue to bless you and guide you as you go through the corridors of life. And just to mention that this family is also members of our family, and the Kewali, Brahmi, I think he is known as, right? Members of our family also. On my wife's side, Jaya. So we are here to lend support to members of the family in this time of difficulty. And up to today, I was mentioning to someone who's also going through this process. I said that today is your turn, tomorrow is any one of us' turn. So everybody has a turn, no matter who you are. And as beautiful bhajan says, Sukha ke sabasati dukha mein na koi, Raja Aurang anta ekasa hoi. King or pauper, we all have to go through this path. Nobody is exempted from it. It is part of life's journey. And as Sri Ram mentioned in first Chaupai of Kishkindakan, Aage chale Bahuvira Guraya. Life's a forward movement. That the world doesn't stop for anyone to get off. We all have to continue our life's journey. For all this is transitions in the whole journey of life. But as mentioning to them today, we have that emotional aspect of it. We have the attachment aspect of it. All these are part of the life journey. But what is important, as we keep mentioning, is that we all have to pass this way, one way or the other. If you have not passed it as yet, well then it didn't meet up with you. You understand what I'm saying? If you haven't passed this way as yet, you haven't experienced this, then it didn't meet up with you. We all have to go through it one way or the other. But what is important is that when the time do come, we do what we have to do, like what members of the family they are doing, performing sacrifices, performing satsang through association. Satsang, according to what Sri Ram said in Aranyakan, Navara Bhakti, Pratham Bhakti Santana Karasanga, Dusari Rati Mama Katha Prasanga. First form of devotion, association, like what we are doing here. Associating with near and dear ones, members of the family, etc. Listening to the glories of the divine. Listening to the names of the divine. Putting ourselves in a frame of devotion. And Dusari Rati Mama Katha Prasanga, listening, association and listening. So this is what is recommended during this period of time. And as a matter of fact, for the whole of our lives, this is what is recommended. Attaching ourselves to the feet of the divine. And tonight we listen to a beautiful Katha where Bhagwan Shankar himself, he experienced separation. So who it is? Who are all of us? He says what he did when he was separated from Parvati Mata. A beautiful Katha. And it helps us to deal with this concept, this aspect of separation, which no one is exempted from. But before doing so, we must go through the usual, our opening prayer, our Ramayan Sumiran, and glorification of the divine, of the name of the divine. And then we go into our Katha for this evening. So wherever you may be, just clasp your hands, close your eyes, you bow your heads, and in your mind, Om Sri Ram, Jai Sri Sita Ram. Om Sri Ram, Jai Sri Sita Ram. ईश्वराय नमः। ओम सदा भवानी दाहिनी हे सन्मुख श्री गणेश। पांच देव रक्षा करो श्री सूर्य ब्रह्मा विष्णु महेश। पांच देवताय नमः। ओम शन्नो मित्र शं वरुण शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पति शन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमा। नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायु त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वरिष्यामि सत्यं वरिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Varnanamartra Sangana Rasanam Chandra Samapi Mangalanam Chakartaro Vanlevani Vinayako. Ramai Sumiran. Jesu mirat sedha ho Kannayak karivar barana Karau anugrah so Budhi rashi shubha guna sadana Kaho hi bacha Pangu chadhe girivar gahana Jasu kripa sudaya Prabhu sakala kalimala dahana Nila saroro Janayana Karau Sumama Uradha Satakshira Sagara Sana Kunda Indo Samade Hai Umara Mana Karuna Sindhu Nararupa Hari Mahamoha Namapun Jasu Vachana Ravi Kalanikara Sita Anuja Sameta Prabhu Nila Jalada Tanusha Mama hiya basahu nirantara Saguna Rupa Sri Ram Om Siya Rama Mai Sab Jag Jani Karahu Pranam Jori Jugapani Ram Nam Mani Deepa Dharu Ji Hade Haridwar Tulsi Bitar Bahyo Jo Chah Saujiyar Atulita Baladhamam Swarna Shailabhadiham Dhanujavana Krishanam Jnani Namagraganyam Sakala Guna Nidhanam Vanaranammadhisham Raghupati Priya Bhaktam Vatajatam Namami Om Ramadutaya Vidmahe Kapirajaya Dhimahi Tano Hanuma Prachodayat Om Hum Bhat Swaha Bole Sri Sita Ramachandra Ki Jai Pawana Putra Hanuman Ki Jai. Sri devotees, after those moments of silent prayer, we put our voices together as we glorify that divine force in the form of Gajanan Swami, who from a philosophical point of view represents discriminative power. And in a situation like this, discrimination, being able to differentiate the real from the unreal, is most important. So when you pray to Gajanan Swami, that knowledge, that wisdom, that vivek, that discriminative power manifests itself within each and every one of us, and we're able to deal with our circumstances as they exist. So simply Kirtan, everybody, put your voices together. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Nama Siddhi Vinayaka Namo Nama Ashta Vinayaka Namo Nama Bolo Ganapati Bappa Moriya.
Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Nama Siddhi Vinayaka Namo Nama Ashta Vinayaka Namo Nama Ganapati Bappa Moriya.
Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Nama Siddhi Vinayaka Namo Nama Ashta Vinayaka Namo Nama गणपति बप्पा मोरया
नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया
ओम गम गणपतये नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः हे गणपति बप्पा मोरया
गम गणपतये नमो नमः श्री सिद्धि विनायक नमो नमः अष्ट विनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया
मोरया रे बापा मोरया रे
मोरया रे बाबा मोरया रे
मोरया रे बापा मोरया रे
मोरया रे बाबा मोरया रे
मोरया 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 रे
मोरया 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 रे
मोरया 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 रे
मोरया 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 रे
ओ मोरया रे बापा मोरया रे बोलो
मोरया रे बाबा मोरया रे
मोरया रे बापा मोरया रे
मोरया रे बाबा मोरया रे
मोरया रे बापा मोरया रे मोरया रे बापा मोरया रे मोरया रे बापा मोरया रे बोले श्री गजानन स्वामी की जय. Devotees, we focus our attention on the Divine Mother as that Mother of the universe. She is known as Kalyani, Rudrani, Brahmani, Shivani, Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Kali, Jagannmata. That Mother who is a creator, a sustainer, the dissoluter of this entire universe. That Parashakti, that prime cause of this universe. These are the terms that are referred to as the Divine Mother, the prime cause. Without her, there could be no existence. For this entire universe, energy vibrating at different frequencies. So devotees, wherever you may be, focus. That when you concentrate on the Divine Mother, that Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Gyan Shakti, these powers that are there, that exist in this universe, they are attracted towards us, and success is there. So it's not necessarily a form that is sitting in the sky somewhere. That is impossible. Within all of us, Durga Ma exists in the form of Divine Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti. Devotees, Kali Mata, power of time. All of these forces are within all of us. For this is the microcosm. So devotees, this is a little bit of background, philosophical background of the Divine Mother. So wherever you may be, focus and concentrate. Jaya Bhagavati Devi Namo Varade Jaya
Bhagavati Devi Namo Varade
Jaya Bhagavati Devi Namo Varade Jaya
Bhagavati Devi Namo Varade
Jaya Papa Vinashani Bahu Bhalade Jaya
Papa Vinashani Bahu Bhalade
Jaya Papa Vinashani Bahu Bhalade Jaya
Papa Vinashani Bahu Bhalade
Jaya Bhagavati Devi Namo Varade Jaya
Bhagavati Devi Namo Varade
Jaya Shobhani Shobhaka Paladhare Jaya
Shambhani Shambhaka Paladhare
Jaya Shobhani Shobhaka Paladhare Jaya
Shambhani
नारायणी जय जय दुर्गे जय जय अम्बे नमो नमः. Bless you, Ma. We worship you as Kalyani, Rudrani, Brahmani, Shivani. Antar, you are within each and every one of us. Room a room, every pore of my body, Ma, exists with your name. We ask of you, Ma, to show your grace upon us. O Jai Narayani, Jai Jai Durge, Jai Jai Ambe, Namo Namah.
Jai Narayani Jai Jai Durge Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah.
तेरा पावन सुमिरन कर दे अंतर में सुख भर आता. रोम रोम में प्रेम तिहारा मन में भक्ति विकल जाता. ओ जय कल्याणी जय जय दुर्गे जय जय अम्बे नमो नमः.
Jai Kalyani Jai Jai Durge Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah.
मन अंतर में मंत्र भरो तुम जीवन में गुण जादो माँ. जन्म जन्म के संतापों को तेज से अपने जला दो माँ. ओ जय रुद्रानी जय रुद्रानी जय रुद्रानी जय जय दुर्गे जय जय अम्बे नमो नमः.
Jai Rudrani Jai Jai Durge Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah.
मंगल साथी देने वाले मन वांछित फल बरसाए. द्वार तुहारे आगे मैया कोई खाली नहीं जाता. ओ जय ब्रह्मानी जय ब्रह्मानी जय ब्रह्मानी जय जय दुर्गे जय जय अम्बे नमो नमः.
Jai Brahmani Jai Jai Durge Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah.
ध्यान भजन हम मनुष्य दिन करते मन में जपते नाम विमल. शरण परे तो एक सहारा मैया तेरा चरण कमल. जयति शिवानी जयति शिवानी जयति शिवानी जय जय दुर्गे जय जय अम्बे नमो नमः.
Jayati Shivani Jai Jai Durge Jai Jai Ambe
Everybody
Namo
join.
Namah.
Jai Narayani Jai Jai Durge Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah. Jai Jai Durge Namo Namah. Jai Jai Maiya Namo Namah. Jai Jai Ambe Namo Namah. Vibhuti Samanita to everybody. Put the voices together. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma. Victory, victory to you, Divine Mother. Victory to you. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Bolo everybody.
Jai Ma Jai Ma
Chant.
Jai
Sing.
Ma.
Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma.
Jai Jai Ma Jai Ma Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma.
Jai Ma Jai Ma Jai Ma.
Oh Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma.
Jai Jai Ma Jai Ma Jai Ma.
Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. 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 Bole Sya Shakino Devi Mata Ki Jai. Now devotees, we focus our attention on our Lord and Master Bhagwan Shankar. And again, a beautiful, powerful bhajan that everyone knows. These are very old bhajans that have been around very, very long. important, powerful meanings. That to glorify our Lord as the one who is white in color. He is dressed as a yogi with tiger skin upon his waist. He has a Rudramala, Rudrakshas is going to be around his neck. He plays at the Maru. That Gangadhar flows from his hair, his matted locks. That to the old Mool, Chandramauli upon his forehead. That Lord, who is Mahadev, he is that one who is the great one, as such, as mentioned. And then what it tells us, that, O Prabhu, you have that most wonderful form. You are a protector of this world. Half Parvati, half Ardhanadishwar. Half Parvati, half Bhagwan Shankar. If you are that Trembakeshwar, that three-eyed one, you perform that Tandav Das, that Tandav dance, O Prabhu. Please protect us. Show your blessings upon us. So devotees, a beautiful bhajan that describes that Lord. And when you perform the bhajans, meditate upon Bhagwan Shankar. Try to put his form in your mind. For these meditative processes helps us to purify ourselves, to cleanse the mind. Jai Jai Jai. Om Jai 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 Mahadev.
Jai 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 Mahadev. Jai 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 Mahadev.
पीतांबर कति में बागंबर साजे कति में बागंबर साजे कलमाला रोधन की कलमाला रोधन की करत जय 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 महादेव शीश जटा बहे गंगा उज्ज्वल चंद्रानन शोभे उज्ज्वल चंद्रानन शोभे स्वामी समाधि लगाए स्वामी समाधि लगाए त्रिभुवन जन मोहे ओम जय 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 महादेव नीलकंठ भक्तन हित तुमने विष का पान किया तुमने विष का पान किया तुमने विष का पान किया असुरों को संहार की असुरों को संहार की जग का त्राण किया ओम जय 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 महादेव ओम
जय 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 महादेव ओम जय 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 महादेव
रूप अलौकिक अर्धनारीश्वर तुम हो त्रिपुरारी त्रिलोचन Trilochana Tumaho Tripurari, Trilochana Tumaho Tripurari, Trilochana Tumaho Tripurari, Shiva Shankara Pralayankara, Shiva Shankara Pralayankara, Tadava Gati Hari, Om Jai 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 Mahadev, 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 Om
Jai 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 Mahadev.
devotees, everybody. After that meditative process of glorifying the Lord and Master Bhagwan Shankar, let's use the God-given gift of the voice and the chant that most powerful Sharakshar mantra, Namah Shivaya, 5 Akshar mantra. When we add Om to Namah Shivaya, it becomes Sharakshar, 6 syllables. And if the smallest child can chant that, and according to Shiv Mahapuran, that is one of the Maha mantras, that is when chanting, it brings positivity, positive energies, it removes negativities. So devotees, use the God-given gift of the voice. Chant the name. If the smallest child can chant Namah Shivaya, everybody, put your voices together. We say Mahadev Baba Namah Shivaya Pahi Mam. I make obeisance to you. Raksha Mam. Please protect me, Bhagwan Shankar. And this is what we're here for. So everybody, put your voices. Chant. Picture that form in your mind. Meditate upon that Lord and chant everybody. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Pahi Ma Bolo.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Pahi Ma.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Raksha Ma.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Raksha Ma.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Pahi Ma.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Pahi Ma.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Raksha Ma.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya,
Bolo,
Raksha
chant.
Ma.
Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Pahi Ma. Om Namah Shivaya, Raksha Ma. Om Namah Shivaya, Pahi Ma. Om Namah Shivaya,
Raksha Ma.
Bole Simapati Mahadeva ki Jai. And devotees, before we go into Katha for this evening, as I mentioned earlier, a Katha that will help us to understand when separation is there, what you need to do. And separation is part of life's journey. Nobody is exempted from it. As I made the point earlier, Raja or Rank. Raja means king, Rank means pauper. So Raja or Rank, king or pauper, anta eka sahui. Anta eka sahui. One day we all have to depart this mortal coil. And I put it in my own little way whenever I go to my funerals, etc., etc. I say, there's another special place for the hierarchies of life, like all the ministers and all them big people planning. And then a next place for the peasants like us. Huh? If you have somewhere, tell me, I would like to go there, but I know it have none. You're going to one of the cremation site, one of the burial ground, or one of the crematorium. Either one of the issue you're going. No matter who you are, no matter what status you have in life. But you see, the bhajan, this statement will lead me straight into the bhajan. That in order for us to really, understand this whole purpose of life, understand what we are here for, as Prabhu Shri Ram mentioned in Uttarakhand, we're not really from Uttarakhand, yes, we're from Uttarakhand, but not that part, but he's mentioned, what he has mentioned, Bade Bhagya Manusha Tanu Pawa, out of the 8,400,000 species of creation, 64 lakh yoni, the human form is the highest. The human form is the highest form of creation. Why? Because the human form is the only form of creation has the ability. It can analyze, it can rationalize, and make a conscientious decision. And I always use that example that I've created for myself. You put a dog there, time to the balusters, he's going to remain right there. You let him go, he will want to run away. You feed him, he will eat. You don't feed him, he will starve. You pat him, he will wag his tail. You hit him, he's going to bite yourself. They operate on instinct. While human beings, we are supposed to operate on intuition. There's a big difference between instinct and intuition. So the human form, this is why they say, Bade Bhagya. Bade Bhagya. 64 lakh yoni, 8,400,000 species of creation. Bade Bhagya, highest form of creation. And then what Sri Ram also said in that same part of that Ramayan, that we are here, Sadhana Dham, Moksha Kadwar. Sadhana Dham, Dham means abode, Sadhan means sacrifices. We are in your abode to sacrifices. Moksha Kadwar, we are on the doorway to paradise. And when I say doorway to paradise, it doesn't mean that you walk in, you go in, and when you leave in, you're flying away, and you see some door somewhere, and you have to walk through that door, and you go see a nice big structure, a steel structure, with a nice decking and a big palace on top, and you go in there, right here. Because only in the human form you can enjoy, and in the human form you can suffer also. And every one of us, at some point in time, we experience heaven and hell. What is hell? A state of depression, a state of dejection. I just saying what this family is going through at this point in time. Not hell. The way they're feeling, your happiness, all of us was members of the family. That is not hell. And then when you see Uncle Brahmi was there, nice times, nice heaven, enjoy. You understand what I'm saying? So every one of us, we all go through heaven and hell. But right here, because only in the human form that we can experience all of this. So when you see, some pundits come and say, well, the soul have to pass through here, and the soul have to pass through there. Nobody knows the nature of the soul. And go to chapter, I wouldn't read that now because I might take away from the discourse because I want to read all of that. From Bhagavad Gita chapter 2. I always advise, if you really want to get a good understanding of the nature of the body, nature of the soul, go to chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita from verse 13 to verse 26. You're going to get a good explanation of Krishna Bhagavan himself, which is the verbal manifestation of that divine, the Bhagavad Gita, as to the nature of the body, nature of the soul. So we know the soul. Nobody knows the nature of the soul. The soul is the nature of wind, as we say. You don't see breeze. You feel the effect of the breeze. You sit down here, the breeze blowing nice and cool. So you're feeling cool. You sit down somewhere, the place hot. You see the breeze blowing hot. The breeze blowing cool. You don't see the breeze, you feel the effect of the breeze. So the whole thing about that, the human form is what we have to go through to experience with all its, conditions that we say. All the conditions, all the senses, karamindriyas, gyanindriyas, all of these things, devotees. This is how the human form is created. The human form is not by chance, To get a human form, it's not by chance. The amount of age, lifetime, janma, birth after birth. We have to purify ourselves to receive the human form. This is why it is the highest form of creation. The composition of the human form. We say yata pinde tata brahmande. How the macrocosm, the microcosm. What is created on the outside, also created on the inside. Everything that exists on the outside also exists on the inside. Within all of us as the human form. This is the complication. This is why it is the highest form of creation. Bade Bhagya. Bade Bhagya. So this bhajan devotees will help us to understand. And the question we should always ask ourselves, like so many others, Sharbang Muni, Sutikshan Muni, Mirabai, Sevari Mata, Vibhishan, all of them. What was the underlying question they asked? Rama Milana Kabuhoi. When would I meet my master? I'm meeting the Lord. It doesn't really mean that you home sit down and God come and visit you, You come and knock at the gate or ring your doorbell. Or come and knock on your door. It means realization of the divine. That is what meet the Lord really means. Who is Sri Ram? What he represents? Spiritually. What he represents metaphysically. Now just to make a point here, you see our scriptures? Scriptures are not storybooks. Our scriptures can be unraveled in 3 ways. One, refer to as the experimental outlook. What is the experimental outlook? Like the stories we read, etc. Then secondly, there's what we refer to as the cosmological outlook. What is the cosmological outlook? The permanent laws that govern nature. Jaisa karani, vaisa bharani. Action, reaction, cause and effect. Cycle of birth and death. Right? Metempsychosis. Right? All of these things. Those are permanent laws that govern nature that doesn't change. Right? As long as the universe exists, that exists. And then we have what we refer to as the metaphysical. What is the metaphysical? Or every single thing that is within our scripture, it is applied to us. And anytime you see you cannot apply the scripture to yourself, then the scripture is of no use. Because why? The scripture is not a storybook. So, back to the point here, who is Sri Ram? Sri Ram represents spirituality. Who is Dasrath? Dasrath, the body with the 10 senses. We have 5 Karam Indriyas, 5 Gyan Indriyas. All of these things we need to do. What is Ayodhya? The body with the 9 gates, as we say. Who is Lakshman? Who is Pavanaputra? Pavanaputra Bajrangbali. We say Panchmukhi Hanuman. Who is Bajrangbali? Who is Hanuman within all of us? Power of the mind, strength of the mind. As the Yoga Sutras tells us, Chipta Mudam Vichipta Mekagra Nirudha. We have 5 states of the mind. Raven mind, forgetful mind, oscillating mind, Vishana one-pointed. And watch right yourself. I'm sure at some point in time, when you now heard of the news, raven mind all over the place, you don't know what to do. Mind all over. Raven like a kite flying in the air. Then forgetful, like the mind gone in a stupor. Like you really don't know what to do. Like you can't think, you can't function. Then you have the oscillating mind. What is the oscillating mind? Questioning mind. You start to ask yourself, why me? Why this? Why that? But those are referred to as the lower states of the mind. But then there's the Ekagra Nirudha. Ekagra, the one-pointed. That you focus on what you're supposed to do. And in Nirudhaman, like the tortoise, pulling its all the limbs, hard shell on the outside, no distraction whatsoever. So the whole point about it is that every single form of the divine, every form of deity, right? Be it Ganesh, as I mentioned earlier, Shivaji, Vairagya, Ganesh Baba, Vivek, Lakshmi Mata, prosperity, 6th form of wealth, all of these things is within all of us. And the day, as Hindus, we can understand that God not on the outside, but God on the inside, then we live a different life. Because why? Which part on the outside are you going? As I always mention, as I said just now, the infinity, blue is as far as your eye could see. Right? Some of you all come from away and thing. When you come in, you see any decking there with God sitting on top? You're still seeing blue. Whether it's 30, 40,000 miles up in the air, you're still seeing blue. That is infinity. You go underneath. Depends on where you live in. I always say, end up in New Zealand or Australia, you're going to get some bonk standing in the head and might catch yourself then. You understand? So God nowhere. As the bhajan tells us, Harika bhajan. Kya koje panabata kandar. Ulta deka ghatamahi suratiya. Where you're knocking all about the place. You're going in mountain caves, you're going in valleys, you're going all over the place. But where? Ulta dek. You look within yourself and there you're going to find the divine. As long as Bhagavad Gita tells us that, as long as you cannot find the Lord within yourself, He's not present in the mind and the heart, He's nowhere. 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 You can't find Him nowhere else. Just sit down and no sky, no cloud. I put it in my little way too. Ganesh Baba belly is so big, he go fall through the cloud. He can't sit down on a cloud, he go fall through. Who can sit down on a cloud? You understand what I'm saying? So to young Hindus specifically, it's good for you to understand this. That Lord is within. The day you could find the Lord. What Lankani told Hanuman? Oh Hanuman, as you're going to Lanka, Hriday Rakhi Koshal Puraja. That's in Sundarkan. When Hanuman Baba went to look for Sita Mata. Hriday Rakhi Koshal Puraja. Put that Lord well imprinted in the heart. His name upon your lip. Go and you're going to be successful. So the day you can find the Lord within your heart, He's in your mind, His name upon your lips, then you're really going to find Him. When He's still waiting for Him from the outside, well, you wait right there. You'll never see Him. Never see Him. You know what I'm saying? But all of the upais, as we say, all of the means that have been given to us, Ramayan satsang, or puja, or fasting, or full moon katha, all of this have been given to us to perform, to bring ourselves closer to the divine, to create the mental attachment to the divine. We must do those things, because we are not elevated like the yogis to sit down and abstract us yet. But the point about it is that what is saying here, that it starts from the point. And the point that we start from is Rama Milana Kabuhoy. When are we going to find that divine? This is the question that we have to ask ourselves. So devotees, the bhajan very, very beautiful, right? That Papa Nishime Jivana Nidya, Bhoke Pantachali. The first verse tells us, I'll just tell you the first one. Dehiyarathame Indirana Pahiya, Bhoke Pantachali. That this human form we have is a chariot. A chariot, the chariot of the human form. I'm sure you heard that term already. The chariot of the human form that have been given to us, Bhavake Pantachali, to traverse the pathways of the law of this world. Bhav, earth, Pantachali, the pathways of this world, to really find the divine. And then Veda, the Puran, all of these, scriptures have been given us, so we can perform all the sacrifices that are necessary to attach ourselves to the divine. And when you say attach ourselves to the divine, again I'm mentioning, not sit down by God's foot physically, realizing what the Lord represents within all of us, including myself. So the Lord is within ourselves. So when you realize these things, you realize the Lord is inside, you go within your own self, and there, once the Lord is present there, then He's present all over. So devotees, beautiful bhajan, one that I love very much, and I know I also love this bhajan very much, but a very, very meaningful, powerful bhajan. Hai ho Ram milan kab hoy, sandesh wala ge rahi. Hai ho Ram milan kab hoy, sandesh wala ge rahi. Hai ho Ram milan kab hoy. देहिया रखब में इंद्रिया न पहिया, देहिया रखब में इंद्रिया न पहिया, भव के पंत चली हा, भव के पंत चली, संदेश वाला गे रही। ऐ हो राम मिलन कब हो, संदेश वाला गे रही। ऐ हो राम मिलन कब होय। पाप निशी में जीवन निंदिया, पाप निशी में जीवन निंदिया, भजन के बोर भये हाँ, भजन के बोर भये, संदेश वाला गे रही। ऐ हो राम मिलन कब होय, संदेश वाला गे रही। ऐ हो राम मिलन कब होय। जागृत स्वप्न सुसुप्ति तुरिया, जागृत स्वप्न सुसुप्ति तुरिया, जित तब राम मिली हाँ, जित तब राम मिली, संदेश वाला गे रही। ऐ हो राम मिलन कब होय, संदेश वाला गे रही। वेद पुराण ग्रंथ बहु व्यंजन, वेद पुराण ग्रंथ बहु व्यंजन, पाकर व्यंजन बही हाँ, पाकर व्यंजन बही, संदेश वाला गे रही। ऐ हो राम मिलन कब होय, संदेश वाला गे रही। ऐ हो राम मिलन कब होय, संदेश वाला गे रही। ऐ हो राम मिलन कब होय, संदेश वाला गे रही। Sri Devotees, this is the question. So a minute or two, let's put our voices together as we chant that name Ram. Ram, 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 Ram Bole. Chant and be happy. Chant and be happy by chanting the name, devotees. Happiness, prosperity, or negativities, all negative karmas, they are washed away. O Ram, 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 Ram Bole.
Ram 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 Bole.
O Ram, 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 Ram Bole.
Ram 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 Bole.
Ram Bole, Ram Bole.
Ram Bole, Ram Bole.
Ram Bole, Ram Bole.
Ram Bole, Ram Bole.
Ram, 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 Ram Bole.
Ram 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 Bole.
Ram, 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 Ram Raghu Rama. Ram, 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 Ram Gunadhama.
Ram 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 Raghu Rama. Ram 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 Gunadhama.
Oh Rama, 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 Rama Gunadhama. Ram, 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 Ram Paramdhama.
Ram 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 Gunadhama.
Param Dhama. Ram 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 Sukha Dhama.
Ram 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 Param Dhama. Ram 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 Sukha Dhama.
Oh Ram 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 Sukha Dhama. Ram 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 Raghu Rama.
Ram Ram Sukha Dhama. Ram 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 Raghu Rama.
Rama 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 Bole. Everybody. Rama 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 Rama
Bole.
Ram Bole. Ram Bole. Ram Bole. Ram Bole. Ram Bole. Ram Bole. Rama 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 Bole. Rama 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 Bole. O Rama Bole. O Rama Bole. O Rama Bole. So this is the advice devotees, without fail, on a daily basis, all ask that question. And as I mentioned, asking that question is not something that is really too much of a physical nature. That when am I going to meet that Lord physically? But when I'm going to realize that Lord within myself. When I'm going to realize that spirituality. And spirituality is not religiousness. You see all these things there. From then I say one word, I have to explain it. Because the way sometimes people think. Religiousness, spirituality, that is two different things. Totally. What is religiousness? Somebody could be religious, but not spiritual. Religiousness, only religious actions you perform. You get up, you offer your jewel, you light a diya, you fast one day for the weekend thing, you go in the temple, you catch a power on a Sunday morning, jump up, pull up all the hair and thing. And when you come out of the temple, you're back to normal. I have seen people do not just making it sin. That way we just close your eyes, so you're watching nobody. You're lying as normal, cheating as normal, backbiting as normal, jealousy as normal, all the negative qualities as normal. That's just religiousness. So when you come out of the religious setting, right, and you perform all the actions, that's just pure religiousness. But what is spirituality? Spirituality is the positive virtues of life. Virtues, honesty, straightforwardness, chalhin rahana, in one simple statement, chalhin rahana, straightforwardness in every aspect. So a person could be religious, but not spiritual. But if you're spiritual, you don't always have to be religious. Because when you're spiritually virtuous, religious is good. You have to, as I said. But if circumstances come and you're unable to, because there are people who cannot perform certain rituals, rites and rituals, etc. But what you do, you live a life of spirituality, a life of truthfulness, honesty, all of these things. That is what is most important. So the whole point about it, when we say, when I'm going to meet that divine, it's not something that is physical. Because most people say, I go to India to meet Sri Ram. He live in India, he live in Ayodhya. And I can tell you, I went, I think it's last year. And man, 100,000 people there. And 10 seconds, whoosh, we meet Sri Ram there. You understand? So it's not something that is physical. What Sri Ram represents, spirituality. Atma Hai Ram. That Atma within all of us. That Jyoti Bindu. Right? All of perfection. That is what Sri Ram represents. So you say, when I'm going to meet my divine, Hriday Rakhi Koshal Puraja. When he's present within my heart, then I've met him. Otherwise, he's just a physical image that is there, with no relation. You might bow one thing, but the true essence is within. So here devotees, as I mentioned, a few Prabhupais, right? Based on the time that is available, from Uttarakhand. And as I mentioned before, that this Katha helps us to deal with separation. And as I mentioned before, separation is part of life journey. एक दिन हमें भी जाना है. One day we all have to leave. And आए भी अकेला, जाए भी अकेला. 2 दिन का जिंदगी है, 2 दिन का मेला. In this world I come alone, and this world I'm going to leave alone. 2 दिन. I'm just here for a day or two. Just a day or two. Nothing more than that. And this entire world like a mela. When I've completed my journeys, based on the karmas I've created for myself, then I've left the mortal coil and I move on. And this is another important point. Another very, very important point. According to what Bhagavad Gita tells us, chapter 6, verse 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna Bhagavan says, man, when you say man, generic term, man elevates himself by himself. Man sings himself by himself. I am my best friend or my worst enemy. That's Bhagavad Gita. So when I hear that now, that has nothing to do with anybody. That has to do with me. I elevate myself by myself. I degrade myself by myself. I am my best friend or my worst enemy. And all is based on the actions we perform. So this is when you mention here that, the last two lines of that bhajan, I bhi akela, jai bhi akela. I love it very much. Most instructive. Sabake rehne hue, main hua akela. Even though we all living together, the family living together, right? Kiran, Kajal, right? And Kevali, Uncle Brahmi was there at one point in time, and you all live together. And what happened? He gone. And where he gone? He gone by himself. If the day of the funeral, I always put it in a way for people to realize, you might see the bank book in the casket, but that the bank book not the money. You might see the house deed. That the house deed, not the house. You might see the certified copy of the insurance for the car. That is certified copy of the insurance certificate. That's not the vehicle. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time when you go with your hand open like that, you put the pen in your hand to show the whole world, I've carried nothing with me. Nothing. When I go alone. And the only thing, as a matter of fact, that you carry with you is the karmas you have created for yourself. This is why, as the bhajan mentioned, Sabake rehne hue, main hua akela. I am alone in this world. I am alone. And many times, I'm sure people would have realized, there are certain times, no matter who are wrong here, you still feel lonely. You still feel alone. You still feel alone. And all you feel is like that connection. You want to have that connection with the divine. To realize your true nature, Aham Brahmasmi. But the point about it is that in this world, everybody has to go one day. We all have to leave. Ek din, hame bhi jana hai. Hame bhi jana hai. So here devotees, Bhagwan Shankar is telling us that also in Uttarkand. He said, oh Parvati, speaking to Parvati Mata, that when you was in a form of Sati, what happened? You left the mortal coil. You departed. In that Yagya of Daksha, I'll read that part of Vichaupai. And then what happened? How I became. So now devotees, he's explaining to Parvati Mata, who was, in this life, who was Sati before, he explained the whole of the Katha to her. And then he mentioned that he listened to the Katha of Sri Ramcharitamanas from the beak of Kakabhushundaji. And who is Kakabhushund? Kak means what? A crow. Kakabhushund, one who is a crow. So when she heard that he listened to Ramayan Katha from the beak of a crow, she said, oh Prabhu, how could I understand that? Not no great sage, no Swami, no holy man, no realized soul, in the form of a human being, a crow. And you said that crow is a highly realized being. How am I to understand that? And then she said, oh Prabhu, out of many millions and millions of millions, they may have one or two who is really sincere in the path of devotion. Out of many millions of such, you may find one or two really making a serious sacrifice to be in oneness with our divine, to get liberation. And out of many millions of such, you may find one who really achieved that ultimate goal of realizing Aham Brahmasmi, that they are part and parcel of the divine. Are you telling me that person that you're speaking about is a crow? I cannot understand that, Prabhu. Please explain to me. And then devotees, Bhagwan Shankar is speaking to Parvati Mata, but he made one important point here. He said, Sunahu Uma Mana Lai. Sunahu Uma Mana Lai. O Uma, mean Parvati Mata, stabilize your mind and listen attentively. Mind, stable your mind and listen. Man lagakar od suno. Man lagakar od suno. Stable mind. And this is another important point. If you really have to learn, you have to listen. And we always mention, we learn that in school, in primary school days, any of them boys learn that, but they say 65% of learning comes from listening. You can't learn if you do listen. If the teacher pak and you pak too, how you going to learn? So 65% of learning comes from listening. So that's why Bhagwan Shankar is mentioned in Ramayan here. Man lagakar od suno. Stabilize the mind. And if the mind is not stabilized, devotees, how are you going to learn? If the mind jumping like a monkey self all over the place, branch to branch, how are you going to learn? So Bhagwan Shankar is making the point up front. Stabilize the mind and listen. And by listening, then I'm going to inform you as to how I listened to the Katha of Sri Ramcharitamanas from the beak of Kakabhushun. So devotees, Bhagwan Shankar is related to Parvati Mata, Kakabhushundaji, the Garud, and Tulsidas. He has written for each and every one of us. We begin from this Chaupai. प्रथमदक्ष राम प्रथमदक्ष गृहतप अवतारा सती नाम तब रहतु आरा everybody जय राम श्री राम जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय राम राम जय सीता राम प्रथम दक्ष तब गृह अवतारा सती नाम तब रह तुम्हारा. So devotees, he says here, May Jimmy Katha Sunu Bhavamochini. So simply put, he said, oh Bhavamochini, oh most beautiful one of this earth as such. Sunu, listen to what I'm about to mention to you. That Pratama Daksha Grihata Bhavatara. In that, firstly, you were born in the home of Daksh as who? Sati. Now devotees, this line here, very, very important. He says, Pratama Daksha Grihataba Avatara, Sati Nam Taba Raha Tumhara. You are known as Sati. But the most important part of this chaupa here, it says, Pratam Daksha Grihataba Avatara, Avatar. That he took the form in the home of Daksh Prajapati as who? Sati. So, what he's saying, now she's Parvati Mata. Then she was Sati. So if now she's Parvati Ma, and prior to that she was Sati, what that says? That from the point of Sati, she came as Parvati Ma. Now the second part, just to mention that, a yag was to take place, the more of Shivran Katha, a yag was to take place, and they were not invited, Bhagwan Shankar and Sati at that point in time, and she insisted she wanted to go. When you do Shivran, we'll listen to that Katha. But the important part there is when she went to that yagya, she saw no sign, no respect whatsoever shown to Bhagwan Shankar. A place was put aside for Vishnu Bhagwan, Brahmaji, all the other 33 crore devata, but no place for Bhagwan Shankar. And just to make a point, any sacrifice, any yagya, any puja, where Bhagwan Shankar is not worshipped, there is no results in such a puja. That is in Ramayan. That is in Kishkindakan. You can check it and see. But the point about it is that no place was put aside for Bhagwan Shankar. When she saw that, she became enraged, and she, simply put, in our terms, she told off her father that, because of ego, because of pride, because of influence from the others, you didn't see what is right? That without Bhagwan Shankar, who is your son-in-law, no place was put aside for him. And what she did, simply put, she destroyed herself in the yagya of Daksha. It's that the Katha tells us, all this has meaning, but the Katha tells us she jumped into that Agnikund and destroyed the human form. So what Bhagwan Shankar is saying, that this is what he's speaking about. This is what he's speaking about. At that point in time, you were known as Sati. Now you are Parvati. But this, what is mentioned here, that you see this here, this is the concept of reincarnation. And reincarnation is a fact. Reincarnation, you have to justify reincarnation. And again, if you go to chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna Bhagavan mentioned, that Arjun, you see all the kings that you are seeing here, when Arjun became dejected, he didn't want to fight. And then Shri Krishna Bhagavan had to coax him on, as we say, to, encourage him. And he said, Prabhu, how can I kill my near and dear ones? And what he said, that, oh, Arjun, all of these kings that you see here, yourself, including myself, we existed in the past, we are here now, I will not fail to exist in the future. What is that? Reincarnation process. All of us, every one of us, we existed somewhere in the past. I know I always use a little, piece of a book that I became, aware of through Paramacharya, my uncle Panahariu. He always made mention of the book, and I also went and read it. Many Masters, Many Lives, of a Roman Catholic psychiatrist. And he had a patient who had a lot of, as a matter of fact, her life was mental distress. Her whole life was a mental distress. Nothing she could have done, no comfort whatsoever. And somebody recommended her to this psychiatrist, whose name was Dr. Weiss. And devotees, what happened? It is said that there, under hypnosis, just to cut the whole thing short, under hypnosis, what he did? He regressed her 64 lifetimes back from the point where she was. 64 lifetimes back. In some lives, man. Some life a woman. Some life king. Some life queen. Some life slave master. Some life slaves. Some life overseer. All of these things. Every single life that she had, there was a different responsibility, different duty. And then, devotees, one part of the book that remains clear in my head is one, she just screamed out. She bawled out that they are locking us inside. They are locking us, they're putting us in a dark place. Help, help. And devotees, and they mentioned in the book there that in one life she had leprosy. And those days didn't have no cure for leprosy and thing. What they would do? Put them in caves and block the cave with a big stone. Block them off in there. She was afraid of the dark. But when she confronted that, she overcame it. So you see things like phobia and things like that, they're not from this life, That is from some previous life. Some people afraid dark, some people afraid light, some people afraid they're driving the road and the tire bust out. These things are real things, Some people afraid of cockroach, some afraid of crapo. So don't think that these things are trivial. The fear, the phobia that you have within yourself is not from this life, some previous life. Something happened, but confrontation. I tell you a long time I used to frighten me, afraid of the dark. When I tell you afraid of the dark, I'm afraid to go any place looking dark, me are going. And I'm telling you, only now when I think about it, I don't fear the dark again. When I was younger, maybe 16, 17, even younger than that, 12 and things like that, nowhere dark I go in, I frightened, I fear something come and grab me. But you know what? As I get older, I remember clearly confronting it. Confronting the dark. Now I could go anywhere, don't wanna be. Anywhere, dark or no dark, it don't matter, make a difference. Maybe that is something I had from the past life. And you confront it, and you're able to overcome it. So all of these phobias are such, it's not from this life. And just to make another point here, you see, Uncle Rami, as you know, right? That's how we know him in this life, That is the relationship in this life. I always mention that something have to come real good for me to have that out of my head, not to justify this. That this is a mere reference in this life. That when you see the picture, you see a certain person, you see a certain size, certain conditions exist, certain attitudes exist, you identify. You identify. When you watch it, this is my father, this is my uncle, this is my husband, this is my brother, all of these things. So the form that we know in this life is a mere reference. But you know what? All of us, you see all of us here, all of us, we are ancestors, returning in this form, continued life journey. And when Panditeshwar did the funeral, right? So when they do the Bhandara now, when they do the last part of the Hawan part of the Bhandara, you will hear, he'll mention that what they refer to as Manush Pitris. What is Manush? Manush mean man. Pitris mean the ancestors. So when you make offerings there, for those who have gone by, and I always say, who's those who have gone by? Ourselves. Ourselves, our near and dear ones. So when I'm making the offerings, actually for myself, my own son, whoever it may be. So this is what reincarnation is about. That every one of us, as I mentioned, regresses 64 lifetimes back. And this is not a Hindu talking about here, a Roman Catholic psychiatrist. Regressed 64 lifetimes back to the present. And she confronted all her situations and she was able to heal herself. Able to heal herself. So if you don't want to believe Bhagwan Shankar, well, that is another justification. So reincarnation is referred to as a cosmological law. A cosmological law, it doesn't change. As long as existence there, it exists. And as I mentioned, Uncle Rami, that is the life. The last life, maybe the man was some sadhu in the Banka di Ganga, or living in Ayodhya, nobody knows. You could be a woman. You understand? Whatever karmas he performed for himself, And this is another important point. Nobody can wipe out anybody's karmas. Nobody could do that. I am responsible for me. You are responsible for you. What you create for yourself will be the outcome. What I create for myself will be the outcome. Whatever karmas we have performed will give us the current life. There is sanchit karma, prarabh. Sanchit karma, store up actions. And I use a little example from Arangwes. We live in Arangwes. It's a little bit of garden still. So you plant a tomato seed today, no matter how much you water it, you're not going to get tomatoes tomorrow morning. You can water it too much and put too much chemical, you might kill it. You have to give it enough time. So they refer to as sanchit. So when you see you plant the seeds, that is sanchit karma. Now when you plant germinates and it grows and you pick in a nice fat wrong tomatoes, that is prarabh. So you see everything all of us we are going through here now, that is part of prarabh karma. It is prarabh karma, not part of, yes, part of or prarabh karma. And then the example is given. Well, Baba, watch them there now. Watch how them are getting on. Every day they're doing this. Every day they're liming. Every day they're partying. Every day they're this. And them going up, better live like them too? No. Because why? Whatever they have done, they are reaping the fruits of the seed they have planted. But you know what? Like the gardener now. When the gardener pick this crop of tomatoes, he don't leave the garden right there. And next set of fruit is going to grow. So whatever you have done in your past life, you are going to experience now. And whatever you experience in this life, whatever you have done here, agami, that which is to come. So the whole point about it, whatever all of us, Uncle Brahmi in this instance, whatever actions he have performed in that's his last life, give him this life here. All the conditions that exist. To born in a proper home, have proper parents, proper family, Brahman home to begin with also. These are important things. Not by chance. All that have been predestined. Predestined. So the whole thing about it based on our action, our karmas. So here, this is the point from this one chaupai we see here. That when Bhagwan Shankar said in that life, you refer to as Parvati, Sati, and you destroyed yourself in the yajna of Daksha. You are now reborn as Parvati Mata. That is the cycle of birth and death, reincarnation process, which every one of us. So Uncle Rami, what he's going to do? Somewhere, some other time, some other circumstance, some other situation, some other condition, nobody knows. But as members of the family, you have a duty. You have a responsibility. As the son, you have certain duty responsibilities. As the daughter, say the same thing. As the wife, same thing. As the brother, as the sister, we all have duties and responsibilities. The relationship always continues. This is why I mentioned when I started, that is the reference. And I put it in my way. If I get up in the morning, I see a man lie down over so, Rory, and he like he dead, me I'm gonna bring him in my house, put up a tent, call the pundit, do a bhanara, shaving, funeral for him. You know who is he? And I call the police and say, hey, all come and see what's going on there. That is furthest reaching. You understand? So all of these things we do because of an emotional connection. If you do not have an emotional connection, then you wouldn't do anything like this. So the reference, so the person that we speak about, be it the mother, the father, the daughter, whoever it is, that formed in this life is a mere reference that we use. And as long as we live, that reference is there. And that is what propels us to do everything that we have to do. So Bhagwan Shankar is showing us that point of reincarnation. So very quickly now, devotees. He said, oh, Parvati, you destroyed yourself in the yajna of your father Daksha. And by doing that, devotees, what he said, oh, by doing that, what happened? What happened? I became very, very depressed. Like anybody else. When there's a loss, there's a depression. I hope that today I was telling somebody that they came to speak to me, this person depressed, etc. I said, that is part of normal. I said, as a matter of fact, if you see somebody dies, and you playing Maha Yogi and Maha, whatever, then ask too much stuff in your heart. We all go through that. Now you all know. You all are our family. What happened to our family recently with my cousin? 19 years, Pandit Mairio's son, what happened to him? How that hit us? How did that hit us? All of a sudden. We all cried. We all had emotion. We all feel empathy. Right? Not only for him, but even for Pandit Mairio and his family also. My Nana, my father-in-law, Pandit Chandra Bose, right? My mom, at young age, 17 years, I had when she passed away. And the Kerala and all of this. Right? So we go through the same thing too. But the point about it, that this is part of life's journey. Part of life's journey. And we all feel that dejection. Nothing is wrong in feeling dejected. Nothing wrong in feeling depressed. All of this is the emotions. But what is important, that Bhagwan Shankar shows us, you don't remain right there. Aage chali. Life, forward movement. So he said, oh Parvati Ma, when you see that situation occurred, I was dejected, I was left disconsolate, as we say. I couldn't stay on Kailash Parvat. Everything I saw reminded me of you. They say something of beauty is, bring a happiness for life, but something of beauty is also a sadness for life. And you will experience this yourself, living in the home here. I sure it happened already. When I say, he says, sit down right there. He said, listen to that song. God, if he was here, I sure he does say that. All them things go through the mind. That is part of the whole process. Right? You become like this. So, and then they come like the place biting. You cannot stay. So the whole thing about it, Bhagavan Shankar is showing us that when these situations occur, it's very, very difficult. But, as I mentioned, we're going to hear here now, he didn't stay in Kailash Parivat. Whatever was a beautiful life is a sadness for him now. Because why? The near and neighbor are no longer there to enjoy it with him. No longer there to enjoy with him. So here, devotee, in this instance, is Sati. So what he decided to do, he decided to move on. Let us listen to what is taking place. Sundara Baranagiri Sativranga Kautuka Dekhat Pirau Viranga Jai Rama, Sri Rama, Jaya Jaya Rama. Suranabanagiri, Sarita Taranga. Kautuka Deka Firati Viranga. What he says here, they say, oh Parvati, when that situation occurred, and I couldn't stay upon Kailash Parvat anymore, what I did, I decided to leave there. I decided to leave and move on. Because staying upon Kailash Parvat, it wasn't doing good to me. I remained dejected. I remained depressed. So this is one of the first points in this beautiful Katha here. What Bhagavan Shankar is showing us. In order for us to really overcome whatever depression, dejection that we have to change the location. You understand what I'm saying? You have to leave. So when I say, not literally leave and don't come back here, but change the whole vision. Change the vision. So sometimes I say, you mightn't be able to change the scenery, but you could change the vision. You might be able to change the scenery, but you could change the vision. Mean that they could move on, they could go somewhere, go by the children's panel, a few days, whatever. This helps. So Bhagavan Shankar making that first point. One of the ways in which we can overcome this sort of dejection, depression is by agechali, by leaving. So he left there. But he said, oh Parvati, while I left Kailash Parvat, but I walked on, I'm moving. And I passed through many, many beautiful places, as we say. Beautiful places. Wonderful ponds. Beautiful woodlands, mountains, rivers, streams, tanks, all of these things. But you know what? Ati Soch. I was still very, very depressed, dejected at heart. I saw nothing to attract my mind, nothing whatsoever, at least up to now, up to that point in time. But you know what? I didn't stop. So here, devotees, this is another important point. That in situations like these, it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult for us to overcome this depression, dejection. Why? Because every single thing that we see in life, we compare. We have a connection between ourselves and the departed one. A connection between ourselves. So I say, you might leave the house, you are going, yeah, I'll go watch a movie. But when you reach the movie, it's like a bigger pack of popcorn and a small pack. One time again, on your mind. You like Sprite, you like Pepsi. All these things. And analyze and if they're not reality. You're not reality. You would go, instead of going somewhere, you're going to take a walk and then go. So sometimes, anywhere you go, you bounce up certain things that has an impact on the senses. And the senses speak about here, the Gyan Indriyas, yeah? Not too much Karan Indriyas. As I mentioned in the beginning, we have 10, Indriyas, as we say. 5 organs of action, and then the 5 senses of perception. What we see, what we taste, what we touch, what we smell, tactile sense, etc. So we really speak of the senses of perception. Senses of perception are impacted upon. And all this is the Vedant, philosophical aspect of Ramayan. This is what Bhagavan Shankara is telling us, that the senses were impacted upon. What I saw, what I smell, what I felt, all of these things. These nice flowers, when I smell a nice flower, the scent of that flower reminded me of you. When I saw a beautiful flower, it reminded me of you. So when he said, when I saw all of these settings here, I still, atisoch, I was still unhappy at heart. Because why? Everything that I saw, I wished that you were here with me. But I didn't stop. O Parvati, I didn't stop. I continued. And devotees, but what is important here? Aage chale. Aage chale. Because by continuing, aage chale means forward movement. Forward movement. By continue moving forward, the solution is going to come. What he is saying here now, let us listen. So devotees, I'll just read what is mentioned here. So they said that he continued walking forward. And walking forward, devotees, no matter what, this is the important part here. And Kishkinakan, that is made very, 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 very clear. First chaupai of Kishkinakan. Aage chale, bahui raguraya. That Sri Ram, what he said, moving forward. No matter what, when he was exiled into the forest, what happened? Raja Dashra died. He moved on. Continue moving. So many depression, dejection in Ayodhya Puri. Aage chale. Aage chale. We say forward ever, backward never. People say that political statement, but the politician take that from the scripture. That can never be older than the scripture. That's a statement of Ramayan. Now, don't matter what in life, and analyze and see. Don't matter what, we have to move forward. And if you look at it from just a mundane point, the day is going to come when the Bhandara had to finish. Everybody had to go back into to work. You have to go back to your duties. You have to go back to your normal everyday life. You will have that pussy in mind, obviously, but life has to go on. Life has to continue. As I see so many challenges our family had, we have to go on. So many challenges other families had, life has to go on. So, but the point about it is that you don't reach anywhere by standing up. Like the boy stand up in the bottom hill and wandering, and he wandering, and he wandering, and he wandering. You don't stand up and wander. By wandering, one place stagnant, you could never be any progress. No progress. You have to move. And Bhagwan Shankar is going to tell us that this is what helped him in this time of depression and dejection. So he said, oh, Parvati Ma, wandering, nothing. Ati Soch, I was still, depressed and dejected at heart. But while walking, I noticed something. I noticed something. In a distance, as we say. In a distance, I saw what? A beautiful mountain. Beautiful blue mountain, Nilgiri. Right? Giri means mountain, Nil means blue, a blue mountain. And the whole concept of this, that anything in a distance looks blue. But the point about it, what the Katha tells us, is that he saw a beautiful mountain. Saw a beautiful mountain. And not only that too, upon that mountain, what he saw? 4 golden peaks. 4 golden peaks. Now all of these things, as I mentioned before, right, this is the experimental outlook, the story. But all of this has a metaphysical outlook, an interpretation. What is the mountain? What is Nilgiri? What is the 4 peaks? What are the 4 trees? All of these things. But as I said, the Katha, at this stage, does not allow all of that to explain. But just take the Katha as it is. But just know that it has a deeper meaning. So the whole thing about it is that he saw this beautiful mountain. Upon the mountain, devotees, 4 beautiful peaks. 4 beautiful peaks. And upon each of these peaks now, what he saw? A huge tree. Huge tree. And what is mentioned here? Right? Vata Pipar Pakar Rasala. That in each one of these mountain peaks now, what he saw? A different tree. And what are these trees, devotees? A huge banyan tree. Right? People tree. You all know the people tree. The Pakar tree. What is the Pakar tree? The Indian fig tree. Not the banana plant we have here. The Indian fig. You all know what the wrong thing? Like that. That's Indian fig. And mango tree. So now devotees, on top of all of these peaks, he saw one of these trees. And not only that too, what he saw nestled in between this entire set of trees there, a beautiful pond. A beautiful pond, devotees. And what he's seeing, Bhagwan Shankar is telling Parvati Mata in his Doha.
विपुल बिहुरंग गोराम जल विपुल कुंजत कलर बहंस जना कुंजत कलर बहंस जना गुंजत भृंगु भृंगसियापति रामचंद्र जी के शरणम.
What is seen here? Sheetal Amala Madhura Jala Vipula Bahuranga Gunjata Kalarava Hansa Gana Gunjata Manjula Bringa. Here devotees, what is saying here? That this pond as such, that is nestling amongst these beautiful peaks, what it had? Sweet water, Madhura Jal. Madhura Jal, water is very, very sweet. And not only that too, within that pond, all different varieties of lotus flower. Every single. We only know of the pink and maybe the red. But it have all the blue, it have purple, it have brown, it have black lotus. Right? Lily, white lotus. But fierce varieties of the lotus present there. And not only that too, what he saw, hunts, beautiful swans, they are swimming in that pond. And when swimming, their devotees, they will make their noise as such this quacking sound, as we say, that will pierce the atmosphere, simply put. And then bees will be buzzing from flower to flower, the breeze rustling through the leaves, a place of perfection. A place of perfection. When Bhagwan Shankar saw that, his eyes become attracted. Right? Manamoha, as we say, as mentioned here. Dekhi Manamoha. Dekhi Manamoha. My mind became deluded, attracted to that spot. And I have to admit to you, O Parvati, I started to forget about you, at least for that moment in time. So you see here, this is what Bhagwan Shankar telling us. In order for us to sort of get over this depression, dejection, we have to take our minds out of this situation. And I'm sure, again, I was mentioning to those people today who was speaking to pertinent to the death, etc., that I told them, I sure at some point in time, and you can't tell me this didn't happen, at some point in time, within a period, that something happened and you totally forget about that person. They just gone out of the mind. I want to remember to come back again. That happens to all of us. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes, just if it's for a little bit of time, they totally forget about them. Somebody say something, you forget about them. Somebody crack a joke, you forget, they start to laugh and you forget about that. The point about it, this is how it operates, the mind operates. So you see, wherever we put our mind, is where the energies as such of the mind is where the reflection is going to be. So here, devotees, what he's saying, that my mind become attracted, manamoha. And what I saw, beautiful steps leading up to that, pathway leading up to that pond. And upon that steps, as mentioned here, gems, etc. But, you see here, this is the place of perfection. Place of perfection. Upon this spot, oh, Parvati, is where I found that bird you're speaking about, that Kakabashund, that liberated being. Is there I found Kakabashund. And in that spot, no infatuation, no ignorance, no negativities, nothing whatsoever. Purest spot upon the face of this earth. And why? Why was the purest spot? Because no human being ever put a foot there. No human beings didn't put a foot there. You know, we ever seen anyway human beings put a foot at destruction. They have a nice savannah. Break it down, build a set of house. Kill the savannah. Anyway human beings put a foot, have destruction, analyze it and see. But here, no human beings. There, Kakabashund. And we listen, Kakabashund. And the devotees, what he said, I hasten my footsteps to that spot. I hasten my footsteps to that spot. Why? Because my mind now became attracted. My mind became attracted. And what I did, let us as we recite our final set of chaupais, let us at what is taking place. नर कह हरि कथा प्रसंग का आवहि सुनहि अनेक विरंगा राम विचित्र विविध नाना प्रथम सहित कर सादर गाना जय राम श्री राम 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 जय सीता रामा So here devotees, to wrap it up here now, it is said that he approached that spot. And what he noticed now is that Kakabushund, for the 4 parts of the day, he did different activities, different forms of devotion. And yes, the day is divided into 4 parts, as we keep mentioning, the Prahal. So when I say Shivatri come, I say Prahal. What is Prahal? Prahal means part. Right? So from 12 midnight to 6 in the morning, Ek Prahal. From 6 to 12 lunchtime, Do Prahal. From lunchtime to 6 in the evening, 3 Prahal. And from 6 in the evening to 12 midnight, 4 Prahal. 4 Prahal. 4 parts of the day. And what Kagabushundiji will do? The 4 parts of the day devotees, he will go under different tree and perform different sacrifices. Different sacrifices. So what he'll do here, just to put it under the people tree, he will perform meditative process. And there are 4 ages also. Satyug, Treta, Dwapar and Kali Yuga. And each of these ages, a different sadhana is required. A different sadhana. So in this age of Satyug, meditative process, which is under the people tree. So we all know meditation. You see when time to meditate, between 12 midnight and 6 in the morning. You don't go meditate 10 o'clock in the day. When you see diesel smoke going up your nose, and noise here, and car horn blowing, you can't meditate under them kind of circumstance. And in the morning time, they say the air is charged with Brahmur, as we say, that highly oxygenated air. Pran devotees, highly oxygenated air. That when you see you sit in the morning between 12, right, and before sunrise or above sunrise, and you meditate. This is why the yogis will get up early in the morning, perform their meditative process, re-energize their energy, their system, their body with prana. And we all have 5 pran vayu, as we say, prana, pan, saman, vyan, udan. Right? I'm not going to explain it, but these different types of airs that we have within us. Right? 5 major sets of air. Prana, pan, saman, vyan, udan. Inhalation, exhalation, retention, all of these things. So when you perform yoga is not just a case of knotting up yourself, putting your head behind your neck, and putting your finger here and your hand there and chucking your hand in your ears. That's not yoga. Yoga is what? Union with. Union with. Yoga really means, according to Yoga Sutras, union with. So when you practice yoga and you perform the proper actions, pranayama, etc., inhalation, exhalation, we have the different nadis. You have Ida Nadi, Pingala Nadi, Shushu, all these things, devotees. All this has to do with yoga. All this is part of Vedanta. Part of Vedanta. And by doing these things in the proper way, what happens? We elevate ourselves. We protect ourselves. And that's what I'm saying from an energy point of view. And remember, as I mentioned in the beginning, this whole universe, energy vibrates at different frequencies. We pick up positive energies, we pick up negative energy. And based how we are, is the type of energies that we pick up. So you're positive, you pick up positive energies. You're negative, obviously what is going to happen? So the whole thing about it, that this is what happens. That when you see we live a life like this, when you see we perform these actions, and all of these actions be given us to elevate the human form, not to disintegrate or degrade the human form, but what happens unfortunately, that not to make it sound bad, but it's reality, eat, make merry, when a day I go, berry. And according to Jayafara, like this term, party before prayers. Used to make all say that point. Nobody tell you to enjoy yourself. You enjoy yourself. But remember the human form, highest form of creation. Whatever we do is to elevate ourselves. Man elevates himself by himself. Man sings himself by himself. I am my best friend or my worst enemy. So I decide. Nobody can decide that for me. So when you see Kaka Bushundaji, what he will do? Sit under the people she has mentioned here. What he do? Go into meditation. Meditative process. Meditative process. Then the second part, right, which will be from 6 in the morning to 12 midday, according to the laws of Treta, what he'll perform? Mantra jap. Mantra jap. And he'll sit under what is mentioned here, under the pakar tree, the Indian fig tree. Then the third part of the day, according to the laws of Dwapar, Mansik Puja. Mansik Puja. What he will do? He will sit under the banyan tree. Under the banyan tree, mango tree, sorry, and perform such. And this is another important part. Mansik Puja. We have 3 types of puja. Mansik, Vachik, Upansu. What is Upansu? Physical action. So I always put it in my way. The Shrutas around there, the Pandits around there, reciting mantras, Om Gananang Tva Ganapati Gung Hawamahi, say the mantras something man. And the Shruta often. You're physically often here, but you never studied. I hope the rice boiled good, I hope the curry had too much salt. Make sure don't forget the mother-in-law in the fridge, We're doing puja physical. That is lowest. When I say lowest, I mean in terms of the benefits. That is upansu, lowest action. That he could be doing this physically, but what? Mind all over. Now these things may sound harsh, but this is reality. And when we say these things, I was mentioning in my service New Year's morning, when we say these things, it's not to put on nobody, It's just to help us understand the importance of these practices that we do, to realize the seriousness of these practices we do. So the upansu, physical action, lowest of all. Then we have vachik. That is why when you see we do puja, we do congregational service, we do satsang like this, everybody use the vachik, means vak, voice. Use the God-given gift of the voice and the chant, sing bhajan, sing kirtan, perform mantra japa, etc. Chant the name of the divine, that is vachik. And then mansik, mind, in the mind. And the superficial meaning of that is that they do mental puja. But the deeper meaning is that they purify the bhuta shuddhi, as we say, the elements within. Right? That is a different level there by itself. But the point about it is that mansik puja means mentally. And this is where, just to put the point here, especially our mothers, sisters and daughters. Sometimes when you see that time of the month come, Baba have a blight, Akadama puja, Baba this, that is part of the divine's work. But the point about it is that physically you are not able to, because of circumstances, impurities, etc. But then you have the opportunity to do the highest puja, which is mansik. As a matter of fact, you have the opportunity to get more blessed than everybody else. Because everybody else, mind all over the place. But when you sit down and you focus, and you, while you pray, the puja has been performed, mantras have been recited, the Gyan Indriyas are impacted upon, you listen. This is why the mantra Bhadam Karne Bisunyama Deva comes in. That may I listen to all that is righteous, the ears become purified, the sense of hearing, right? The sense of verbal voice, all of these things, meditative process, all of this. So this is where Mansik Puja comes in. So many different things about Mansik Puja. But the Katha here, in the age of Dwapar, right, according to the laws of Dwapar, he'll perform Mansik Puja, mental, puja, you say, Mansik Puja, mental puja. And then finally devotees, what he will do? According to the laws of Kali Yuga, like from now, 6 evening to 12 midnight, what he will do? He will go under the banyan tree. The banyan tree. And according to the laws of Kali Yuga, Harikatha. According to the laws of Kali Yuga, Harikatha. What is Harikatha? Listen to the glories of the divine. Listen to the glories of the divine. And devotees, what happens? And by the way, just a more internal meaning. When you say Hari, that Lord of Vishnu Bhagwan, Hari Katha, the Kathas of the Lord, what Hari really represents? Satya Narayan, Satvik Prakriti, purity, cleanliness, foundation. So when you see Hari Katha, what Hari Katha does? By listening to Hari Katha, by listening to the glories of the Lord, one becomes purified. That's Satvik Prakriti. That, Satvik Prakriti, Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun. Satogun dominates. The gun of Satvik dominates in one's system, life, as we say. When you listen to Harikatha or you chant Harikatha. So what according to the laws of Kali Yuga, he will sit under that mango tree, as mentioned here. Sorry, the banyan tree. And then what he will do? what he will do. He'll make his call. Make his call. And what the call would be? Not everybody come and think, all come, come, come. He's a bird. A bird don't say come. All gather wrong. Bird don't talk so. Bird in bird language. He'll make his call in bird language. And devotees, what Bhagwan Shankar is saying here. O Parvati, from all different directions, hundreds upon hundreds of birds will flock to that spot. The flock will flock to that spot to do what? To listen to Ramayan Katha from the beak of Kakapushundaji. From the beak of Kakapushundi. And they will listen with rapt attention. Rapt attention. As he prepare himself. Like how when you see we come, we sit quietly and we do our opening prayer. Jai Jai Kar is say, icebreaker. Jai Jai Kar. Right? All of these things is to prepare our minds. Prepare our minds to receive the blessing of the divine. And just a point on opening prayer. When you say opening prayer prayer not for God, Opening prayer for us. When I say these mantras, opening mantras, none for God. God need us, we don't need God. God, we need God, God don't need us. So whether we say opening prayer or not, it don't make a difference. But when you say opening prayer, the opening mantras is to prepare our minds, ourselves, in that state to receive the energies as such. Like a radio. If you want to listen to a specific radio station, and you must tune your radio to the radio station, and you hear crack, 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 all different direction. So it's the same exact way. When you come to the satsang, any satsang you go to, the opening prayer, the mantras that have been given, right? All these mantras, specific Ramayan opening, right? Mangalacharan, all of these things, Sumiran, all of these things have been given to prepare our minds to be the receiver of the energies of the divine. So what Kagabushundaji will do, he'll make his call in bird language. And all those birds from different directions will come to that spot. And Bhagwan Shankar says, Parvati Ma, I have to admit to you, at that point in time, I totally forgot about you. I totally forgot about you. Because why? My mind was occupied. My mind was taken up with what is taking place. So you see what is happening here? In order for us to get our minds out of these states, we have to occupy the mind. We have to get the mind occupied out of the situation. And then he said, I transform myself into the form of a hunts. What is a hunts? A mythical bird, as you say, a swan. And I will not go to the meaning of why a hunts and not a pigeon, or why not a, what do you call it, ostrich, or some other kind of bird. Why a hunts, right? But the point about it is that he transformed himself in the form of a hunts. He said, oh, Parvati, and I went to that spot. Because if I would go there as Bhagwan Shankar, then I'll cause a distraction. And this is another important point is mentioned. Nobody at any point in time should be causing any kind of distraction in satsang. None whatsoever. Sometimes you have satsang going on, the Baba reading the Katha, some big man come in, the boss come in, the get up, leave everything and go on the meeting back and hug him up and bring him in front. Like he's more God than God's self. That is a sin. That is a sin. No matter who you are, Bhagwan Shankar is telling us that. No matter who you are, come and sit down quiet and listen. Afterwards, there's interaction. So by doing that, people don't realize when they do these things. I'm saying these things because why? We express ourselves. I'm not talking about we reading a book. Talking from personal experiences. Katha going on, right? Srota, Katha going on. Boss calling. He forget Katha and he going to answer a phone call. Like that will make a difference. When something happened, then he say, the prayer say, work. Yes, say you didn't do the correct thing. So all of these things may sound harsh, but it's what we do to protect ourselves. So in this instance here, Bhagwan Shankar is showing no distraction. So he transformed himself in the form of a hunts. And he went there and he said, oh Parvati, I sat among all of those birds. And the final part here, devotees, what he said, I listened to the Katha of Sri Ramcharitra from the beak of Kakabashun. And the final bhajan is given to us here. The entire Ramayan Katha, and there's one bhajan as we proceed to wrap up. Jai Ram Hare Sri Ram Hare Bhakto ke dukha dur kare Jai Jai Sri Ram Hare
Jai Ram Hare Sri Ram Hare Bhakto ke dukh dur kare Jaya Jaya Sri Ram Hare.
तुम सब जग में व्यापक हो, तुम सब जग में व्यापक हो, तुम जग के चराचर नायक हो। योगी तेरा ध्यान धरे, जय जय श्री जय राम हरे श्री राम हरे।
भक्तों के दुख दूर करे, जय जय श्री राम हरे।
तुम बहुत पापी जन तारे हो, तुम बहुत पापी जन तारे हो, तुम भक्त जनन के प्यारे हो। निर्गुण सरगुण रूप हरे, जय जय श्री राम हरे। बोलो जय राम हरे श्री राम हरे।
भक्तों के दुख दूर करे, जय जय श्री राम हरे।
आप ही के गुण हम गाते हैं, आप ही के गुण हम गाते हैं, जो श्रुति पुराण बताते हो। कैसे तुम रावण पठन किए, जय जय श्री राम हरे। बोलो जय राम हरे श्री राम हरे।
भक्तों के दुख दूर करे, जय जय श्री राम हरे।
दे तिलक विभीषण आन चले, दे तिलक विभीषण आन चले, सीता संग लक्ष्मण भरत मिले, अवधपुरी में राज करे, जय जय श्री राम हरे। एवरीबॉडी
जय राम हरे श्री राम हरे। भक्तों के दुख दूर करे, जय जय श्री राम हरे।
जय जय श्री राम हरे, जय जय श्री राम hare. Consider wrap up. As Bhagwan Shankadir, he sat amongst all of those birds devotees in the form of that hans. I listened to the entire Ramayan Katha from the beak of Kakabhushundaji. After Kakabhushundaji finished reading his Ramayan, he glorified our divine. So everybody, as we conclude this evening, let's put our voices together. Maha Mantra. Maha means great mantra. That mantra that releases us from all negativities. It frees us from all difficulties. So devotees, even the smallest child can chant. Focus upon our Lord. Use the God-given gift of the voice and chant. In this age of Kali Yuga, Hari Katha, chanting the name is what is most important. It is the easiest and the fastest way of receiving the blessings of the divine. So everybody, put the voices together. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Yes, the devotees. Bhagavan Shankar said, "O Parvati Ma," I sat there and I listened. Important, listen. I'm not going to explain listen and hearing now, but listened to the kathas of Sri Ramcharitamanas from the beak of Kakabushund. And I have to admit that after I've completed that, oh Parvati, I forget all about you. I forget all about you. My mind now was totally absorbed in that divine. I returned to Kailash Parabat and I went into meditation until the time came when you reincarnated as Parvati Ma. So here, devotees, we see that this Katha helps us to deal with this circumstance. As we mentioned, we know the emotional part is there. Yes, we cannot get over that. We cannot overcome that. We cannot detach ourselves from that. But what is important, that life has to move on. Life has to go on. Bhagavan Shankar is showing us that whatever circumstance exists, aage chale. As I say, sometimes people put pressure on you, People put pressure on you. When you see after a funeral, you dress up nice and you go out and watch them. Them happy he there. Watch how they go out and lime and thing. That ignorance and stupidity, as far as I'm concerned. Ignorance. And I'm telling you, a little bit I know of Uncle Brahmi, he's a person who wouldn't want you to sit around and moan and groan and mash up your whole life also. You understand what I'm saying? Life has to go on. Life has to go on. At the end of the day, we keep mentioning, again I was telling somebody that today when I was speaking to them, the world will stop for you to jump off. The breeze will stop blowing. The sun will stop shining. The rains will stop falling. Life goes on. Life goes on. Obviously, with the relative restrictions, etc. You have your restrictions to keep everything in balance. But the point about it personally, when the Bhandara is completed, you do the Gita part. What is the Gita part? Gita part is puja. You do Ganesh, Shiva, Krishna puja. Comes to an end here, life goes on. Obviously, stop or you hold off on your yearly puja, etc. But as I said, life doesn't stop for anybody to get off. Anybody to get off. But the point about what Bhagavan Shankar is showing us here, that he has also moved on. That O Parvati, after I received, I listened to Katha, I forget all about you. I moved on with my life. And this is the final point here. This is what is important. When you want to deal with depression, dejection, you don't go on in circumstance and situation and people who are going to put in more depression and dejection. You understand? I can never forget when my mother died. A lady boy come, oh God, why God do all of that for? God should never do all of that. And she was already had one time. You see, the attitude. You understand what I'm saying? It might sound funny, but it's the reality. When you want to deal with your own personal situation, depression, dejection, you don't go and talk to people who put in more depression, dejection. This is what you need to go to. You go to scripture, go to the words of the Lord. You listen to a nice inspirational bhajan. Listen to a nice kirtan. Read Bhagavad Gita. All of these things helps you to put your mind in a different state. A state of stability. What Bhagavan Shankar did. He didn't go and bathe in the Ganga. He went and listened to the words of the Lord, Prabhu Sri Ram. Listen to Ramayan Katha. So without going any further, this is the lesson, and I hope that whatever I've said, will help in a way, because I say separation not a nice thing, but it's part of life journey. It is part of life journey. Right? It's an experience we all have to go through. And as I mentioned before, if you come up to it, well then it meet you. You all have to pass through this way. All of us, no matter what it is. Ikadin, maybe jana hai. But to members of the family, who is also, as I mentioned, also our family, Auntie Kevali, Kiran, right? Kajal, right? This is what the advice is from Ramayan. And you couldn't want more advice than that from Ramcharitamanas. Where Bhagavan Shankar telling you, life journey has to move on. You do what you have to do, right? Obviously, you do everything that you need to do. But that is also going to come to an end. And when that comes to an end, continue life journey. I say, and what's the best way you can live up to the Father? What is true Pitra Yagya? Pitra Yagya is not offering Tilanjali every day, that is part of it. True Pitra Yagya is living up to what the ancestors have left for you. Whatever your father believed in, live up to that. Live up to the qualities, the positive ones. Live up to all that he left for you behind. Elevate on his name. Carry up his name. That is true Pitra Yagya. Not offering Tilanjali. Say, could offer whom Tilanjali want. I live like a brush. What sense it make? You understand? So true Pitra Yagya for the children is living up to what the parents left behind for you. Elevate upon that. That is true Pitra Yajna. So without going any further, I say special blessings to all of you, and I pray that Prabhu Sri Ram show his blessing upon you, guidance upon you, help you to deal with difficult times. Right? And whenever difficult times come, turn to the Lord. Turn to the Lord. This is what is important. You do your duty, but turn to the Lord. So what I'll do is offer prayer, and we pray that may that Lord bless that soul, as we say, inverted commas, wherever it may be. So in your own way, you offer your prayer. Om Anadini Dhano Devah Sankachakra Gadadhara Kshay Pundarikaksha Preta Moksha Prado Bhava. Om Ukam Karoti Vachalam Pangulam Bheti Girim Yat Kripatam Hambande Paramanandam Madhavam. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Bandhu cha Saka Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om. Preta Atma Shanti, Preta Atma Shanti, Preta Atma Shanti. Ram Naam Satya Hai, Ram Naam Satya Hai, Ram Naam Satya Hai. Bole Sri Sita Ramachandra ki Jai. Sri Bhuti, let me say special blessings to all of you for the time to be here. And this is what the family needs at this point in time, this moral support. This is important. So blessings to all of you for being here, and also blessings to members of my group, my Dharampatni Jaya, who is niece, right? Niece of Pandit Kevali, and then my eldest son, Pandit Keshav, and my youngest son, well, he is not here, he has other things to do school-wise. So devotees, blessings to all of you, and continue life journey, do what you have to do, and let the Lord take charge. Bole Sri Sita Ramachandra ki Jai.
प्रभु जी सुख का सागर